In a sterile hospital room, 23-year-old Sarah Parker stares at an MRI scan that shouldn't exist. Her own medical file describes it as Patient Zero, the first documented case of a phenomenon doctors have no name for. It began with a metallic taste in her mouth, a persistent coppery tang like old pennies. Then came the headaches. Not pain, but a terrifying pressure, as if something was pressing from the inside of her skull, trying to get out. Scans revealed the impossible. A second, rudimentary nervous system coiling alongside her own, dormant bones waiting to erupt through skin. Her body wasn't sick. It was duplicating, building a twin from the inside out, using her own flesh as raw material. The most chilling discovery wasn't on the scans. It was in her journal, in her own handwriting, describing dreams she never had, memories of a life she never lived. This is the story of the Cascade Hospital case, where medicine ended and a quiet, biological horror began. This is the story of Anna Carter from Portland, Oregon, and the day she discovered the parasitic twin she never knew she had was still alive. To understand the horror, you have to see the beginning. We see a teenage Anna, slim, athletic, smiling in sun-drenched photographs, a promising soccer player with her whole life ahead of her. But beneath that perfect surface, a quiet, forgotten presence stirred in the dark. Anna Carter was every Pacific Northwest kid. Hiking trails, rainy day coffee, college dreams on the horizon. She was healthy, robust even, with the vitality of someone who breathed mountain air and drank from cold streams. Normalcy clung to her like the familiar scent of damp earth and pine, utterly, predictably ordinary. But in the shadow of those evergreens, normal is a fragile, fleeting thing. But on her 18th birthday, a dull, persistent ache took root in her lower back. Doctors dismissed it as a simple sports injury, just a pulled muscle. They called it growing pains, a phrase that now carries a hollow, ominous weight. The pain persisted, a relentless, gnawing presence beneath her smile. A subtle transformation began, imperceptible at first, a slow erosion of the familiar. It manifested in small, unsettling ways. The fit of her clothes felt wrong, fabric clinging or hanging where it shouldn't. This was not mere discomfort. It was the first whisper of something shifting deep within. Her equilibrium faltered, plagued by searing headaches that pulsed like a pressure cooker behind her eyes. By 24, a subtle yet firm swelling had manifested on her left side near the ribcage. It felt dense and alien under her probing fingertips, a cold, hard knot of flesh, a silent, lemon-sized intruder, pressing outwards from within. The lump was hard, unmoving. Anna. I called it my barnacle, a strange, rigid mass. I made jokes about it, but at night, I'd lie awake and feel it. And I swear, sometimes, it felt like it was pulsing. The barnacle wasn't done. It grew. The swelling progressed relentlessly, from lemon to grapefruit, then grapefruit to football. An invisible force wrenched Anna's slender frame, twisting it grotesquely to one side. A deep, grinding ache settled into her bones, a constant companion in the stillness. The air grew thick with the scent of ozone and the faint metallic tang of fear. The medical scans revealed a horrifying truth. A complex mass of tissue, fat, muscle, bone, was deeply intertwined with her own organs. This parasitic growth had developed its own independent blood supply, a network of vessels that pulsed with stolen life. The doctors could only stare in disbelief at the scans, their sterile environment suddenly feeling claustrophobic. The most terrifying realization was that this foreign entity wasn't just inside her. It was surviving on her very essence, feeding from her own circulatory system. In the sterile chill of the examination room, the doctor's words hung in the air like a verdict. Anna, it's a teratoma, he said, his voice clinical. A tumor that can grow, well, anything. The implication settled with a sickening weight. Hair, teeth, even rudimentary organs, all growing where they shouldn't. We need to operate, he concluded, the scent of antiseptic sharp in the air. But the procedure carries extreme risk. A tumor. The answer was a monstrous, but explainable, growth. It was fused to his spine and his aorta. The air in the consultation room grew heavy with the scent of antiseptic and dread. They scheduled the surgery, a procedure shadowed by the unknown. But in the pre-op scans, a new detail emerged. Something that made the lead surgeon, Dr. Evans, freeze. A cold, clinical dread settled in the sterile air as he studied the anomaly. The faint hum of the lightbox now a heavy drone. His breath caught in his throat, the scent of ozone and antiseptic suddenly sharp, as if the room itself held its breath. On the scan, an impossible shape, a shadow where none should be stared back, and in that moment, the procedure's certainty dissolved into primal unease. Deep within the chaotic tangle of tissue lay the faint, spectral outline of a spinal column. Attached to it, the shadowy suggestion of a partial skull. Dr. Evans' voice dropped to a hushed, urgent whisper. This isn't just a teratoma. The doctor's words hung in the air, each syllable a physical weight in the sterile room. This is a fetus in fetu, a parasitic twin. Your sibling, Anna, he continued, the clinical detachment in his voice making the horror more profound. It was absorbed into your body in the womb, and it never stopped developing. A profound, suffocating silence descended, thick enough to taste, as the impossible truth settled in the space between us. Then, a single, thunderous heartbeat, not from a monitor, but from deep within, shattered the quiet. A visceral confirmation that I was never truly alone. The operating theater lights flickered on with a low hum. What began as a routine separation surgery became a 12-hour descent into biological horror. The surgeons weren't removing an inert mass. They were untangling a living, vascular network. The air grew thick with the metallic scent of blood, and the ozone crackled of high-tech equipment. It bled with a wet, living pulse, pooling thick and dark on the cold steel. Clusters of teeth, small and sharp, were discovered fused directly into the bone, like some grotesque fossilization. Patches of coarse, wiry hair clung to the remains, smelling faintly of damp earth and decay. But the most profound horror was a nodule of neural tissue, a primitive brainstem that registered faint, sporadic electrical impulses on the monitor. Dr. Evans' voice grew strained, haunted by a cellular truth that defied comprehension. It wasn't thinking, it wasn't conscious, but on a primal, microscopic level, it was alive. A truth that reeked of ozone and rot. A presence felt in the marrow. It was drawing sustenance from her in the most horrifying sense. A truly parasitic existence. Anna wakes in recovery, disoriented, her hand drifting to the flat, sutured expanse where it once lived. Her voice, weak and distant, echoes in memory. They told me they got it all, but upon waking, she didn't feel empty. She felt its absence like a cold, lingering hollow. I felt abandoned. And the dreams began. Dreams of being trapped, small, and in the dark. Listening to the sound of a heartbeat that wasn't my own. The physical trauma was immense, but the psychological wound ran far deeper. For 24 years, Anna had carried another life within her. She had been her twin's entire world, its literal universe, and she had just cast it out. Her face was at peace, but her eyes held an abyssal sorrow. Anna healed. The scar faded to a pale seam on her skin. She tried to resume her ordinary life, but some memories cling like damp clothes, refusing to dry. People asked if I'm relieved, and I am. The pain is gone, but so is this presence. For my entire life, I was never alone. Now, the emptiness feels heavier than any companion. The air smells of ozone and old dust, as if something just departed. My skin prickles with the sudden chill. This silence isn't peace. It's the hollow echo of a space that was always occupied. I was once a we. Now, I am just me. And sometimes, me feels too quiet. The preserved twin was studied, then laid to rest. Anna visits the unmarked grave sometimes, the air thick with the scent of damp earth and decay. A small, blank stone is all that remains. Raindrops struck the ground with a hollow, wet rhythm. The narrator's voice emerged, not as a whisper, but as a spectral echo that seemed to bleed from the walls themselves. The air carried the metallic scent of ozone and something older, like damp earth and forgotten decay. So, what was excised that day? A malignancy? Or something far more ancient and ravenous? Anna Carter carried a ghost of flesh and blood, a sibling who never existed as anything but a passenger in her own body.
The air grew heavy with the scent of ozone and something faintly metallic, like old blood. In saving her own life, she was forced to confront a terrifying, lonely truth. What does it mean to be one, when you were born as two? The haunting note fades. Text materializes on screen. The most profound hauntings don't happen in houses. They happen in our own DNA.
Like the journey? Subscribe and join the next expedition.